Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 41 of the podcast. That was the Tales of Arise battle theme that you just heard in our opening segment. And we are on a new day, Thursday, because unfortunately I had class yesterday, though my class ended up being a Zoom call anyway because my professor couldn't get his COVID test in time. But the Thursday class, not Thursday, Thursday podcast episodes are going to be right around this time, 3:30ish, moving forward for the next several months until my schedule changes. So, Spoon, how are you doing today?
Good. Well, yeah, I've got some exams coming up myself, but other than that, I am exceptionally excited for Tales of Arise. Speaking of which, the Steam release dropped about 30 minutes ago, so mine is installed and ready to go
Are
right
you
after the
serious?
podcast.
I
Yeah.
wonder if mine's ready to go. But the bigger game that is out today, New World's open beta.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay. But but seriously though, yeah, Tales of Arise, I guess for Steam came out 30 minutes ago. For me, it's probably, it might be available on console right now. Do you know that? Otherwise,
I don't know. I don't have my
okay.
consoles here, so I can't check.
I don't know. I didn't know if I'll look.
I think
I'll look after the podcast episode, and we'll see.
yeah, I think I saw someone, but it looked like they were like German, or they had a European language. I think it was German. I don't
Okay.
remember that was booting it up. So
Okay.
you,
New
you may have to wait until
mm,
the midnight Eastern in the
whatever.
U.S.
Yeah.
to play it
No.
on console. We'll
No
see.
big deal. No big deal. New Amazon Trash Open Beta. Excuse me. Excuse me. Um. So yeah. So the plan is for this episode of the podcast, go through game news as normal, and then we're gonna do a humankind review. We've written down our thoughts in a doc. We'll do a formal review of it like we did with Scarlet Nexus. And then after podcast, just moving a little bit forward past the podcast episode, tonight I will be streaming the Tales of Arise um, game on my Xbox Series S. I imagine I'll start 9 p.m. Pacific time, assuming that that is in fact the console release. I don't know how long I'm going to stream for on that though. I'm about 90% sure I'm going to stream, 10% being something happens. That's more of like an emergency type thing. And we'll play for like an maybe hour and a half, 2 hours. Probably just enough to get through the beginning segment of the game. Because after that, I'll need to get some rest because tomorrow I'm doing a little light travel. So, Spoon, let's do an introduction and then let's get into game news. That way we can talk about humankind. For the introduction, be sure to check out the YouTube guys. The podcast episode from last week and the D&D session from last week are both on YouTube. The review that will be happening today will be edited by yours truly and will go up on YouTube as quickly as possible. The editing will be very light. Basically, I'm just gonna cut the beginning and the end of the review. That's it. Unless there's like something that I have to cut out, then it's just going to be the raw review itself with no other special touches. The Scarlet Nexus one, I actually had like some transitions, but I don't want to do that this time. So that is the plan. So be sure to check out the YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Be sure to follow the Twitch. Check out the Tales of Arise later today. That'll be streamed on this channel. And yeah, that's kind of the plan for the channel is Tales of Arise and podcast. I think that's pretty much going to be it. So Spoon, anything I missed in there that you want to add?
I don't think so. Are you gonna do your entire playthrough of Tales of Rise on the podcast channel, or are you just gonna do it intermittently, like when you have time to stream
It's
and kind
it's
of play
tough to
off stream
say.
as well?
It's really
Okay.
tough to say. I think at first I will try my best to play as much as I can on the channel.
On Yeah.
Um, so far my classes are not going to be intensive for work because they just started. But once they start ramping up, I may take it off channel. In which case, you know, I would try my best to do stuff for YouTube then. At that point, I would put stuff up on YouTube instead. because local recording is very easy for me to do for that kind of thing, and it's already hooked up and ready to go. That's what I did with um, Scarlet Nexus, and
Yeah.
it's what I did for some parts of Mass Effect occasionally.
It
So,
it can be hard, like, a game that is gonna be that long, we're expecting at least 40 hours on Tales of Arise, like, most reports I'm seeing in the, like, the low ball range is, like, 40 to 45, and then
mm,
if you do more, like, side quests or slash play on a higher difficulty slash, just be more thorough, I'm hearing,
hmm
like, 50, 60, 70 hours. I mean, heard
sure,
someone say, like, took them about 70 or 75 to get the plat, so, you know.
okay, that's not that bad actually
But yeah,
for a
the story
plat.
I think the story is gonna be like minimum 40.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
not a
not bad at
short
all.
it's not a short game.
Oh, I think 40 is short for a JRPG. That's short. 40 is
That's
short
average. 40 is average.
for a JRPG. Really? I thought 40 would
Yeah,
be like the low end.
40 is pretty. I mean, yeah, I guess like more recently it's
More
been going
recently,
up.
it's the low
I
end.
suppose like 50 or 60. Yeah, I mean 40 is like low end, but
Yeah,
I mean I think for like me it'll be like at least 50 or 60 for the story because I tend to be pretty thorough. I'll probably do most of the side quests that are available like in the game.
sure.
Um, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, it's not a short game, and my point was that it's going to be, it's difficult to be consistent streaming a super long playthrough like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, it depends on school. It also depends on other things that are going on with me. I don't plan on doing many like long streams of the game, but as much as I can and like to early on, I would I would I would try to.
Yeah.
There are definitely days though where I literally can't because
Yeah. Yeah.
if I do, I'm cutting into the free time that, like, for example, Kate and I get, which
Hmm.
isn't actually a lot. Basically, it's like Monday and Friday, so that's like navigating all that stuff. But I do
Yeah.
want to. Obviously, I do want to. I did for Scarlet Nexus early on, and I know like we both did. But like for me, later on, it was easier for me to play at like 11 p.m. for an hour and record
Yeah.
that local and like do that. That was just easy. So that could be the case. In which case, I would let people know. I would post it, and I'd say, okay, all this stuff's going on YouTube now because I can only play in like hour-long spurts. So
Hmm.
that would be, but
Uh,
but that's still the plan for me.
One other thing that I guess I'll mention,
Mm.
and I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't take my word for it, and I may also end up doing something else with it. But I pre-ordered, as well as the Steam version, so I could play it while I was here. I pre-ordered the collector's edition of Tales of Arise on PS4 that comes with the statue. I wanted the statue. The statue's pretty cool.
Hmm.
And they've been sending emails. Apparently, the shipments are delayed. Like mine, it hasn't even shipped yet. Like they've gotten it ready, but it hasn't shipped yet.
Hmm.
So, but what people are thinking they're going to do is they're going to send codes to people who got the collector's edition to so they can play the game tomorrow on the release day.
Mm.
They're going to send digital codes.
Mm.
So I may have an extra PS4 code for Tales of Arise going around that we could possibly do a giveaway for, or
Okay.
maybe I'll just give it to a friend or something like
Yeah,
that.
sure.
I'm not sure.
If somebody
But
wants it
yeah,
and is interested, you're obviously welcome to do what you feel is because I know you already got it for Steam anyway. So
yeah, I
you
have
you,
it
you
for
kind of
Steam,
have like
and
you just wanted the statue.
I just wanted the statue, and like I'll have it on PS4, and then like it obviously comes with the physical copy, and I'm
Right.
not gonna be home for another 3 months,
Right.
so it like doesn't matter that the shipment's gonna be delayed a few days or a week or
Right.
whatever it is. Like,
Yeah. I mean, again, you're welcome, obviously, to do what you want. If you want to give it to somebody who actually, maybe is thinking about getting it, that's fine. I would say if you're thinking about it, maybe play the demo first, even though the game is released. Play the demo. I'm sure it's still
yeah,
up. There's no reason why it wouldn't be. Play the demo. You'll get a nice sneak preview of the game from that. So that would be my thing too. Is like if you're looking to try the game, just play the demo first before. Even though the like your code is free, like I'd still say like you don't want to take a code on a game that you just don't want to play or like.
yeah,
That would just suck for somebody else. So, but everybody should watch my playthrough, and here's why.
yeah,
And I hope that they do the thing like they did in Scarlet Nexus and some other games where the cosmetics cycle through the cutscenes. I hope so because I pre-ordered the digital Super Blowjob edition, and that one comes with a lot of cosmetics. I'm excited.
Yeah, they do. They're there, and they're in the
Oh yes. Oh
they're in the
yes.
skit. They're in the skits as well as like in the
Mm.
cutscenes. Obviously not in the anime. In the anime cutscenes are they're
No,
pretty rendered.
no.
So,
Those are I don't expect those there.
but
But all those other
um,
cutscenes, you
the
can
the one
bet.
thing I will caution you on with
Mhm.
your Ultimate Edition that
Yes.
you bought is some of those costume packs. What I've seen, if you go to claim them, they actually come with some like gameplay stuff in there, like SP boosts and like some
Mhm.
weird things in there. So when you go to like collect your download content, if you don't want to um get those boosts, because you want the authentic experience of
Mhm.
like no DLC like
Mhm.
help from the game, then you may need to like it may take a bit, but you may have to claim like the costumes individually as opposed to like
Okay.
claiming the entire pack because
Sure.
the pack comes with some of those
So
like,
once I claim it, it
wall
just
items.
activates.
Some of them, yeah. There's
Oh,
like I've
okay.
I've seen that there's some that like you can activate, you can turn on and off, but there's others that like, oh, you just get like 300 bonus SP or like 2 bonus titles that just like exist and like just like a bunch and like bonus weapons that make you OP at the start of the game because they be like plus 100 attack or something like that.
I
So
mean, honestly, I'll try not to use them. But there's a big follows. I saw a new Twitch bot, by the way. There was another Twitch bot that wasn't big follows. That was crazy. I saw another stream. I was like, holy shit, they're growing. Um, they're they're expanding. But
yeah. Again,
I
I don't know if you
oh
care about that stuff. I just like don't like having those boosts like for me because I want to play the game like authentically,
honestly,
quote
I
unquote. But
personally don't care, but I probably won't use them. Like it's just like if I activate them, I'm just be like, okay, well, whoops. Like I don't really care that much. Um, I think I'd rather just play the game. I
yeah,
really don't care about like you didn't get the authentic. It's like okay, it's fine. If you want your authentic experience, you can go over there and play yours. Um, don't backseat drive on my game and tell me what to do. That would be. But the cosmetics, you can
yeah,
bet. No, I'm not going to put every character in the swimsuit. I want to be very clear on that. There are some other outfits that look real nice. So you can bet
yeah.
my party is going to look real fun.
You can have Hot for Teacher Kisara as well.
Mm-hmm. 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 That is there's going to be some good outfits, and they're all going to change, and we're gonna see. Um, yeah. So that's like, but yeah, I'm sure like the DLC stuff only benefits you early in the game and does nothing after a certain point. It's just like okay, you're going to tail off at some point, I imagine. But
Yeah,
early on, it probably just like gives you a nice little push early on. But
gives you
I
boosts,
imagine like
some
mid to
extra
late.
gold, some extra items. Some weapons that are OP early in the game, but I'm sure won't be very good once you get into the mid game or something
Yeah.
like that.
Like
But
if I activate them, I do. It's like okay, whoops, I didn't know I activated by accident. But again, like in the mid and late game, which kind of is what matters anyway, I'm sure they're gonna tail off really really hard there. So
yeah,
that's like okay, it's not gonna help me when it matters in that part of the game. So,
yep,
but anyway, let's move to news so that we can save some time for humankind. We can always talk about Tails afterwards too. Um, but the news is short. The news is short. So let's get into that because it's really short from what I got in the doc. Let me hope that this works. Oh, thank God. Okay. So for news, we had a couple things here. One of which was Tails related, but I don't imagine we'll spend too much time over it. It's mostly just what the reviews are coming in as. We had a survey from the staff at Paradox Interactive. Paradox Interactive most recently worked on Crusader Kings 3, which is a game
yep.
I really enjoy personally.
Crusader Kings, European Universalis, Hearts of
Mm-hmm.
Iron,
Yep.
Stellaris, those games.
Yep.
That's Paradox.
So, and we'll talk about the PlayStation thing as well. By the way, the there was a survey through the company, and almost 70% of women who responded to the survey said they had experienced abusive treatment on the job. For men, it was 33%. Now, there was some other information here. It wasn't specifically like with the Activision Blizzard one where there was sexual misconduct. This was just abusive treatment. There was a difference here. So it still is obviously alarming that in another gaming, I think this is a developer or is it developer and publisher. Paradox, and I don't think they're even small. Like their games are like Crusader Kings 3 was not like a massive release, but it had a following.
Yeah, I don't think they're small anymore. They've gotten pretty popular.
They've
Like
gotten pretty popular, yeah.
EU4 has picked up a lot of steam recently. I think
Mm-hmm.
and Stellaris and like Crusader. I think Crusader Things 3 was like pretty dang. I don't know for sure, but the feeling I got is that that game sold pretty darn well for the type of game that it is, which is like
Sure.
a very hardcore strategy game. You know,
Yeah.
like those games are very in depth and have a very steep learning curve.
And that game did. I think it was streamlined well enough for someone like me to figure it out pretty quickly, which is good because I'm not very good at those things. Um, but the fact that in another, we're not going to say as large as Activision Blizzard because that would just be false. In another game developer publisher, they sent out the survey with the intention of trying to prevent something like Activision Blizzard from happening. And I mean, 70% is a large majority of women
Hmm.
saying that they felt like they were being mistreated. 33% of men saying that is fairly significant.
Yeah, and I think it was like in the 50s or maybe low 60s of like the overall participants said that they were experiencing mistreatment. From what I remember, I don't
Yeah.
100% remember that. But yeah,
So
I mean, yeah, this is not on the level of the Activision Blizzard because one, that was a lawsuit and was like very specific. They're being sued by like the California Department of, um, I don't know. It wasn't OSHA, but you know, Department of like safety or something like I don't
mhm.
remember like workplace something. I don't remember what the department was, but um yeah. But it's alarming as well. I mean, it seems to be a pretty pervasive trend throughout the industry, unfortunately, and I doubt it's just gaming, to be
Mhm.
honest. Um, so yeah, I mean, we're gonna hope that the more and more of these stories come out and these surveys happen, that this is gonna get better over time. Eh,
The end of the article, by the way, mentions that Paradox is currently in the process of bringing on a third-party firm to do a more comprehensive survey to define an actionable response that they can make, which I think is obviously the right move. Don't
See
try
who
and do
the
it yourself. You are that is not going to work. Like that's like if Activision Blizzard was like, we're going to do an internal check on ourselves. Like, okay, no, you're not. You need a third party to do it, and that's the right thing to do. Is go get somebody else to do it for you. Particularly when you're already like internally, there's problems. Like it's very clear that there are problems in Activision. In this case, you can't trust you can't trust yourself. So get somebody else to do it.
yeah, and with the Activision Blizzard thing, like HR was in on it, so it was like, okay, cool.
It was just completely fucked.
HR was useless, so
HR was actually perpetuating the issues even more so than anyone else, and that demonstrates you need somebody else to deal with this, and just basically just get rid of HR. There's just nothing there. If HR's purpose is to prevent this, and they are actively perpetuating it, therefore HR is worthless now.
yep,
So it's just oh my god, it's just silly. So this this survey also was like August 30th or September. I don't remember. It says, oh, the survey was presented August 30th, and with news going out to employees on September 1st. So this was quite recent.
yep.
Okay, moving on. I still like the Tripwire. We looked this up. So before we get into this, like Tripwire is a studio that makes games like Chivalry 2.
They're a
Chivalry
publisher.
2 is a recent big release of theirs, really popular, well regarded.
Yeah, Tripwire's the publisher. They're not. Maybe
Publisher.
they're a developer, but they didn't develop. They did not develop Chivalry. I think they mostly publish. If they develop, I don't know what they develop, but they're mostly a
Okay,
publisher.
cool. Publisher, got it. So, president of this publisher has stepped down after tweeting that he was proud of the legal outcome, and this is in regards to the new abortion law in Texas. Normally, we don't really get into this too much, but this person was tweeting in support of the most recent abortion law in Texas, and they stepped down immediately afterwards.
Yeah,
So
there was a lot of backlash on
yeah,
social media and Twitter. Like, I yeah, the developer of Chivalry 2 was like not happy. They spoke out against it, and there was at least one like a tweet I think I saw from a developer who Tripwire published for that said like, yeah, we're not going to be published by you anymore. We're going to distance ourselves from you if your like CEO has this kind of, you know, view. It's like
yeah,
we're not okay with this basically.
which yeah, again, more of a political point, right? But still, this is uh, I have like a side comment to make, but not related necessarily to this specifically. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who are against what has happened with the new abortion laws in Texas. We've seen it since it's all occurred. I know, like for example, I've seen stuff like Uber and Lyft have gone into support of trying to help people get to clinics, abortion clinics. I saw that like several days ago that Uber and Lyft separately decided that they were going to do this, where they will take people free of charge to clinics. Um, so there are definitely people that are just against what is happening, and of course, when you say something in support of something like this, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, "Hey, you're we don't support what you're saying, and you're saying it as a CEO of a publisher, as a company." And to some, to them, it's like that is the opinion of the company now too. Which, I mean, when it's coming from the CEO, it's going to trickle down. So that's the issue. So I'm happy that this guy's stepping down.
Yeah, I mean,
And
especially when it's such a like supercharged issue like
right,
abortion is like, but like there's not really any middle ground on this issue. It's either
there's
like
not.
you're on one side or the other. There's no moderate on this issue. It's just like, nope, you're over here or you're over here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't want to turn this into a political discussion, so I don't know if I'll go any further than that.
Let's. I mean, let's
But
for now. Let's avoid it
I
for now.
yeah, I whether yeah, I think like whether I think there are whether you fall on one side of this issue or the other, I think there are issues with this law like regardless. It just it's just like anarchy. It's just like vigilante justice, bounty, Wild West bullshit. It's like what
Hmm.
is this nonsense?
Right.
This law is like just completely ridiculous. It supersedes, the Roe v. Wade decision, and
Yep.
it supersedes the criminal justice system. It's like a guilty before until proven innocent, as
Yeah.
opposed to a innocent until proven guilty. Like, I don't see how in any way, shape, or form this law stands through the courts, like on full inspection. I know the Supreme Court like did a very once over of it, and it's like, okay, whatever, we'll let it go. We're not just gonna ban it
Right.
right off the bat. But I just this law just supersedes like so many laws in the country and the way like we do things in terms of our
Right.
systems. I just don't see it standing up. Basically, it's just ridiculous.
It is, and that's why there are a lot of voices against it. So I I want to say this as a side note. When you're a part of a company and you tweet on Twitter, and in your bio you're like, my tweets are your own. They're not your own. I find this like the stupidest thing. Constantly reading it, they're like, no, my tweets are my own. They're not part of it. It's like, it doesn't matter. If I start tweeting racism and I work for like Best Buy, you can bet your ass Best Buy's going to fire me immediately. It doesn't matter. So like I don't get the people that are like, oh, my tweets are my own. Like, no, they're not.
Like, I
They're
mean, I
not.
don't think he specifically said like who he was or who he was the CEO or who he worked for in the tweet, but he said like, as a, I am part of the pro-life game developers. So like he said he worked in the gaming industry and it was
Mm.
like kind of part of the tweet. And it's like, oh, okay, dude.
Yeah. I mean, in this case, it was part of his tweet, so he kind of just got himself there. But like I just like you can't just tweet anything and expect
Yeah.
not to get some kind of
Eh,
response from
yeah.
particularly from your own employment. There, if you say
Yeah.
something completely against their values, quote unquote, and somebody doesn't like it, you can bet you're going to get a talking to, possibly fired.
Yeah.
In this case, this person got fired. They didn't step down. They just said, "Look, you can either get fired or step down. You choose." And they decided to step down.
Well, basically, they were going to lose business partners over it, so it was
Mm.
like, yeah, no, you have to leave now because it was actually counter to their business
Right,
for him to stay because there were companies saying that like, okay, we're not going to work with these people anymore, like we're not going to let them publish for us anymore, we're not going to be under this publisher's umbrella anymore because
right,
of what this person said. And yeah, I mean, in theory I agree with what Try said in chat. Yeah, you're allowed to vocalize freedom of speech, First Amendment, but you know there are also consequences for what you say sometimes, and the consequence in this case was he lost his job because there were a lot of people who didn't like what he said,
right.
and then again, the business was going to lose business partners because of what he said,
Yep.
and there was nothing that there's nothing they're allowed to do that. They're like, oh, this company has a leader who stands for this. Yeah, I don't like that. We're not going to do business with you anymore. So,
Right,
and they're
and he
allowed to
lost
do
them
that.
money.
So,
It's that
yeah,
simple. It's like, hey, you look, you lost us. I don't look. Whatever you said, you said. You're losing us money. You need to leave. That's it's actually that simple. In it's just that your tweets are not your own. Is just don't put that in your bio. It's just like every time I see it, I think it's stupid. It's like okay, but they're not. You can't just say stuff without consequence. So that was my side thing. But I mean, honestly, good. Um, good. This guy's stepped down. Frankly, like I'm not gonna go any further, but he sounds like a nice person to sit down and have dinner. Sounds like a real nice person. So, okay, let's talk about the PlayStation showcase today.
yeah.
So, oh, and we got a raid from Abandon. Thank you.
Hey, Abandon, thanks.
So, I've got all the stuff revealed. I don't have all the trailers. I don't. Did you watch this or did you?
I
Did
watched it.
okay. So let's then because I watched it as well. Let's just go over this. The one things I missed by the way was the Marvels. That was the one thing I missed. Um, let's
Teaser.
just maybe like I don't know if you recall the ones that you liked the most from this. I was just going to focus on the ones that I liked the most from this. You're welcome to do whatever you want to go through all of them. You're welcome to do so. But the ones that I personally was interested in. I mean, I didn't necessarily like Borderlands 3 as much as I thought I would, but I really want to try Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That game looks really fun. It's not a DLC, I don't think.
Yeah. It
It's
seems
a
like it's a separate,
standalone game.
separate, separate game,
Hmm.
standalone.
Which I'm really interested. So I'm interested in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and that one was fun to watch. It was kind of like a fun little trailer, which I expected from Gearbox. Additionally, um, I think I Project Eve was interesting. It was interesting. I wanted to know more about it, so I thought it was kind of cool. Um, the other, I think that other than that, there are other games that I think like people are going to resonate with, like Marvel Spider-Man 2, getting something from that. God of War Ragnarok, getting something from that. Um, we got
Yeah,
another Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, and I people were I don't know, like, if are people excited about the Alan Wake remastered? I thought that was a mediocre game. Are people excited about this?
I feel like it's a cult classic at this point.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I don't think it got exceptional reviews when it came out, from what I
Hmm.
remember. But again, I think it's kind of a cult classic.
Okay.
There is a group of people who absolutely love this game, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it was an Xbox exclusive before, so now it's going to be
Okay.
on PlayStation.
Yeah,
So
because like the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, I thought people were like lukewarm on this game. Why is it getting a remaster? Um, the other one that I think is kind of interesting was Knights of the Old Republic remake. Uh, I'm not. I'm a. I assume it's going to be pretty much the same thing as the Knights of the Old Republic games from before.
I
So
will be astonished if they don't turn it into an action gameplay system. I will be astonished if they don't turn it into like an action
it
RPG as opposed
it
to the like turn based ish that it was before.
that was, yeah, the turn-based thing. That was kind of the Bioware thing. Bioware did some like turn-based stuff a lot of the time. Early on, they did like some turn-based stuff with some of their games. Knights of the Republic had that. Dragon Age technically had like a weird turn-based combat in Origins. They did some turn-based stuff before. That was kind of like what Bioware did, more of that kind of RPG style, particularly early on. But this one, like, yeah, I think they will try and do something more action oriented to try and streamline it a bit more. But those were the ones that I was interested in. Which
Yeah.
I want to know more about Project Eve though. That was like
I mean, yeah, that game looks interesting. It could be really good. It looks like, similar, or at least the combat. It looks like a hack and slash action game, similar
hmm
like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry,
right.
something like that. Don't know if it's gonna like lean into if it's gonna be like RPG and it's gonna have RPG elements, or it's gonna be more similar, like again Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, and just kind of be an action game.
Right.
Um, so we'll see on that. But yeah, the combat looked pretty cool in that game. The graphics were pretty nice.
Mhm.
The monsters were real like weird and disgusting
They
and
were
creepy
interesting.
looking.
They were
So
interesting.
um,
They were really interesting.
yeah, that game was cool. Yeah, that game has some potential, I think, and it was from a Korean developer, I think, um, which is you know cool to see. Um, yeah, Knights of the Old Republic remake, that was a teaser. It was, like a 10 to 15-second
Right.
trailer. That game will definitely not come out before 2023, if not
No.
beyond that. If not beyond that,
No.
um,
That's like
that game, that
years from
game
now.
is that game is nowhere close. And they even said in like the post show that they're like, yeah, we're not gonna show anything of this game for a while, basically. Like
Hmm.
that game is minimum 2 years away, if not like three. That
Yep.
that game is in very early development, from
Yep.
what I can tell.
Yep.
So yeah, we probably won't be seeing a lot of that. It was a cool like teaser announcement though. Project Eve, as I said, looks cool. Yeah, Tiny Tina's Wonderland was a cool surprise. It looks similar to Borderlands 3. You've got guns, but it has like a medieval D&D esque
Yeah. Yeah.
setting,
Yeah.
so it was kind of cool. Um, Forspoken looks really interesting. That game's from Square. The movement looks cool, and the combat was like very like a lot of magic going on. So that game looks interesting to me as well.
That
Um,
game is infamous. Basically, it looks a lot like it when I see it. Just like making
I
comparisons.
I mean, kind of, except it. Yeah, I mean, though it's much more. Like it's set like a medieval world,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
As
I mean,
opposed
of
to
course
as
it is.
opposed
Yeah, of
to
course it is. Of course it's different. There's just like certain parts of it. I was like, this looks like Infamous a little bit. A little bit.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, Rainbow Six. I don't particularly care about that. Alan Wake remastered. We talked about, cult classic remaster is cool. GTA doing the Skyrim thing and remaking the same game on the new platform. So we know that. Guardians of the Galaxy. Sure, man, I kind of feel bad for this one because that game actually looks like it could be decent, but I have a feeling it's not going to do very
I
well.
don't think it's going to do very
see
well.
I don't see the hype going around it.
I can just speak for myself. I just have zero interest. I just don't. I'm just not interested. Like Marvel's Avengers, I had light interest in, and I obviously like it sucked. But this one, I just like all the stuff I've seen of it personally. I'm not into the appeal of it yet. Like right now.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I don't know. It looks like a solid game to me. I don't think I'll play it, but like it looks solid to me. The team looks like they're putting their heart and soul into it, and I just have a feeling they're gonna flop hard, and I just kind of feel bad about it. But I still probably won't play it. It doesn't it appeals to me a little bit, but not too much, not enough that I'll play it. Um, Vampire, nope. Yeah, I don't care about that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
Deathloop, we've seen a bunch already. I mean, it looks interesting, but again, I probably won't play it.
they're
Um,
marketing that game hard.
yeah, they are.
Holy shit.
Next couple, I don't really remember. Uncharted remaster,
Sure.
okay. And then like the next three, Wolverine, Gran Turismo 7, and Spider-Man 2 were all pretty much teasers. I guess Gran Turismo they said is coming out next year, so that
Hmm.
one's kind of far along. And I know if you like racing games, I know people really like Gran Turismo. Those games don't come out very often, like once a generation, pretty much for PlayStation at this point. So
Hmm.
you know. And then God of War. I mean, it looks like more God of War, and people really liked God of War
Yeah, it
2018.
just
So
yeah looks like more of
looks
that.
like looks like more of that. This was a pretty strong showcase overall. There's not too many things in here that were like, super blow my mind, but there were some cool surprises. Yeah, this was a solid showcase in my opinion. Again, for me, I'd like to see more JRPGs, but that's not a mainstream thing, so I'm not expecting it from this, but that's just my personal taste on what I'd like to see. But this was a very very solid showcase in my opinion.
It was good. I thought it was good because it you got a little bit of what's coming soon. I mean, okay, we Guardians of the Galaxy. You're worried it's going to flop, but it's coming soon. And
Yeah,
Alan Wake remastered coming soon. Some stuff that's coming relatively soon within the next couple of months. Great. You've got some stuff that we may not have seen a lot of that's coming with by the spring, which is awesome. We've seen a little bit of Forspoken before, but it's coming spring. Tiny Tina's Wonderland spring. That one's, by the way, isn't a PlayStation exclusive. That's going to be more than likely Epic Game Store,
yeah,
Steam,
yeah,
and PlayStation. Um,
yeah.
so we got some stuff that's coming really soon. Rainbow Six Extraction. Uh, my only comment is like I don't know a lot about all the Rainbow Six games to be honest. I know some of the more recent ones, but like having zombies in Rainbow Six is weird.
Yeah, it
It's
seems pretty
really
weird.
weird. It's really odd, and I'm not sure I like it for that. Just because like some of the more recent Rainbow Sixes, they're grounded more in okay. We suspend our disbelief anyway, but they're more grounded in reality a little bit. Um, zombies like removes that element from it, uh, which I'm like I'm kind of scratching my head on it.
Yeah, Rainbow Six originally, it's like this SWAT team, like tactical shooter, like hostage situation, like
Right,
type type game, and they're like, yeah, no, it's zombies now. It's like, all
right.
right, okay, it's weird.
Like in Xenoblade, there's spaceships. You know that all works in that universe. There's like a little bit of there's some sci-fi elements to it. It works, right? That's the universe that it is. You get a little bit of fantasy too here and there. But like Tales, I don't recall Tales having spaceships or anything like that. That would be like I don't recall that, but
You
maybe they're
played
wrong.
You played Exilia, didn't you?
Didn't they? Did they have a lot of spaceships? I don't remember how many spaceships there were.
I mean, Olympius is like super high tech.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's not
Olympius is high
revealed
tech. Yeah,
until
yeah,
like halfway through
yeah.
Exilia.
Olympius is high tech.
And
That's right.
also, get ready. I mean, I'm gonna spoil the first 2 minutes of Arise for you, but there's spaceships in the opening cutscene
Oh, okay.
of
So
Arise.
they're
Like,
bringing a lot of tails. Okay, so there's more spaceships and tails than I thought. I was trying to find an example of like something that's like grounded in fantasy, adding a Death Star, and it's like Lord of the Rings if there was a Death Star in it. It's like a little weird to get like outside of that genre, and like Rainbow Six Extraction is like more grounded in reality, and they're bringing in something that's like a bit sci-fi fantastical. It's weird to me. It is. It's a little strange. Um,
yeah,
no, no, no.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm
The
sure.
you go ahead.
I'm sure the people who play Rainbow Six and are going to be excited for it. I'm sure the gameplay is going to be like fun and
Mhm.
similar to what Siege is, but it's just like a single player. Well, I mean, a
No,
PvE as opposed to a PvP
it's
experience, right?
PVE. Yeah. I expect the Rainbow Six community to be like kind of to be interested because they're already doing that. But like for me, like a little bit on the outside, it's like weird to see
Yeah,
zombies in this. It's weird.
yes. Zombies does feel like an odd choice for the Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six license.
I
Like,
don't look like there's probably other Tom Clancy games that touch into zombies and things like that we haven't seen. It was like the more recent ones, like the Division. There weren't really zombies in the Division. There, all these other ones like
I mean, yeah.
Wildlands, Breakpoint. You don't see freaking
Generally,
zombies.
generally you think of like the Tom Clancy games as like grounded military tactical
Yeah, that's
shooters,
what I think of. Yeah,
basically. And this is like, okay, now we're throwing zombies into the mix,
it's
so
it's a military
whatever.
tactical game, but with zombies, and it's weird. It's like okay, but like I think back to the event itself, I personally feel like this was a good event because like similarly with Microsoft's E3 or the more I think that was the one that we talked about before. Most recently, when I thought it was great, you talked about the stuff that's coming out really soon that I think is like a little exciting to certain groups. Stuff that's coming in the spring. There's some stuff for certain groups. The and then you got like teasers and things like that. Hey, look, like this is in the works. This
Yeah,
game's gonna get teased. This is in the works. Like you build that excitement with your big name titles like Marvel Spider-Man and God of
yeah.
War. Uh,
I agree.
no,
To me, it felt like a lot of the more big name stuff was like 2, 3 years away. That was more on
sure.
the far future with like God of War and the two Insomniac projects, and but you're right. I think they did pepper in a good amount of like stuff releasing soon, like
Mm-hmm.
this year, stuff releasing early next year, and then like a couple things for maybe later next year, and
Mm-hmm.
then a few more things that are like, okay, this is like a couple years down the line. So yeah, I agree with you. I think there was good variety in terms of the timing
Yeah.
of stuff as well.
The
So
the only thing we didn't get a lot of were any like we got a lot of blockbusters in here.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot.
there was like no indies,
There's
and
no
I guess there's
indies.
like maybe one
Project Eve is not an indie, but it's like it's not a. I wouldn't say that like just going in it's a blockbuster type game, but like maybe they think it is. Um, a lot of blockbusters, not a lot of indies here. Obviously, this was a showcase about their big titles, so can't complain too much. But um,
Ghost is right.
I would like to see a bit more.
Sony only does
True.
blockbusters now. They
I
only do sure thing. They only do
I
sure thing.
it's a little disappointing to not see a bit more um of specific stuff like indies. I'm a little surprised they didn't touch into any of the JRPG genre at all. But
Yeah, some people.
maybe this was something that was more supposed to be for the Western group and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
for anybody
I'm
else.
surprised we didn't see a little. I guess they just did Horizon pretty recently, but I was surprised we didn't really see much of Horizon at
Right.
all in this one. Um, I did see some speculation like, oh, are we gonna see like FF16 or like are we gonna see? I saw some people saying like, oh, are they announced whatever the next Kingdom Hearts game is, like Yuzora or Kingdom Hearts 4 or
Mhm.
whatever it is. And we didn't get that,
No.
which is okay. I wasn't really expecting. I was like, okay, I'll give it like a 25% chance that we see Kingdom Hearts at this thing, but I didn't really think it was
Yeah,
gonna happen. Like,
this felt like a not. I'm not going to say Kingdom Hearts. It's a big title, but like this felt like a bit more of a Western blockbuster
yeah,
showcase.
for sure.
except for Project Eve. That was like kind of not,
Yeah.
but but everything else felt like okay, this is for a Western audience, which it's fine. It's just this. It was oddly like there was nothing for Final Fantasy, which it's like that's a major title for them.
I mean, we
So
saw a few things from Square with
we did.
Guardians of the Galaxy
Mm,
and Forspoken, but
true.
neither is like their JRPG like classics. No Final Fantasy, no Kingdom Hearts, no like Project Triangle or Bravely Default. Any of that stuff. Like,
Marvel's trying to, or Square's trying to squeeze their Marvel as much as they can before they probably lose it. But they're trying to get as much as they can out of it, and
yeah,
they're trying. Um, so we'll see. I'm very curious about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm with you. I think it's gonna flop for them. Not like a complete disaster, but I don't think it'll make as much as.
yep,
So okay, let's move forward to Tales stuff. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I haven't read any Tales reviews. I've seen the numbers and things like that. I've seen what you've been posting on Discord with Ghost. I haven't read a single review for this game. And the reason why I haven't read a single review of this game is honestly I don't give a shit. I playing the demo was enough for me to be excited. That's it. I don't need to hear somebody else's opinion anymore.
yeah. I mean, I don't
I just ignored it.
I don't really care either, but it's I do find it as someone who was as soon as the game was announced, I was gonna buy this game. This game was announced over 2 years ago, and I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm buying this game
Mm.
day one, 100%. Um, so I wasn't using the reviews for that, but it's interesting to see, what the mainstream media thinks of games and what they say about it. And this, at least by Open Critic here, this is the ninth best reviewed game of this year.
Okay.
If you look
Do
on
we
the
do we know that?
on the right hand bar, scroll down a little bit. There's like a Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Scroll down. There's like a Hall of Fame thing. 2021 Hall of Fame.
It Takes Two, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Monster Hunter Rise, the store. Okay. Okay.
And yeah, I was saying it in the Discord, and lots of posts on. There's been posts on Reddit about it. For a game to get a high 80s Metascore is very hard because if you're looking, it has an 87 Metascore.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's getting more nines than it is getting eights, like
Sure.
in general, because like the majority of the reviews are like either nines or eights,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or
yeah. I
like
mean,
maybe okay,
yeah,
8.5, 9.5. There's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
four or five. If you look, there's like four or five tens, and then there was 1.7 from GameSpot and 1.6 from I don't remember the. Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
even know who gave it some.
click the scroll up a little bit, switch to chart view. I like that view better if you go to the top.
Oh, somebody gave it a 6.
Yeah, the review that gave it a 6, I did actually look at that review. Maybe I shouldn't have given into their clickbait, but I wanted to see what they said. They hated the story and the characters. They were like, yeah, the story's garbage, the characters are garbage, the dialogue's garbage, and I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
Like, well, they like the gameplay, they like the combat, but they absolutely despise the story and the
Oh,
characters.
it's this one down here. I can't see it because I can't X out of it.
And
Something
like,
CG magazine is
yeah,
not.
reading it,
That's,
reading
okay.
it, I was like, okay, you don't like the way JRPGs write their stories. I get it. You don't like the cheesy dialogue. You don't like the way they write their characters. Okay, fine. But like pretty much every other this review is saying the characters are really flat and they don't grow and they're boring, and most every other review said the exact opposite and that they loved the characters. And so like I don't know if this was just clickbait or maybe the person really did hate the story, and okay, it's their opinion, that's fine. Not everything is for everybody, right? So
Mm.
whatever. But the vast majority of people love the story, they love the combat. um, and yeah, for a JRPG to get an 87, that to me is like it's a huge like triumph in my opinion. It's like JRPGs do not get this kind of reviews. Like unless it's like Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VII Remake had a Metascore around here. It was like 87 or 88. And
Yeah,
that game was a Game of the Year contender last year. It didn't win, obviously.
right.
But that game had like an 87 or an 88 Metascore if you look at Metacritic. I don't know what it is on OpenCritic, but maybe you can look.
It's probably close to it. I'm just looking at
So
the
yeah,
Hall of Fame. I mean, it's top in the top 10 is great for the year so far. There's obviously more year to come, but
yeah. I mean, and we're getting into the fall where all the big releases come out. But you know,
yeah, no, this.
maybe I can see like for releases coming out in the fall, like what do I think is going to top this? Possibly Metroid Dread. It's a Nintendo game. I mean, yeah, that maybe could get up there.
Mhm. I'm just trying to think too, and uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I was the only thing that has like a better game though. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see like the rest, come through and see where this, because if this like stands as is, that's of all the top 10 here. I don't know all the other ones on the top 10 if they're RPGs or not, but like some of them, like I know It Takes Two is a more cooperative game. Psychonauts 2, I actually don't know if that's considered an RPG. That's just like a
It's a
platformer.
platform. It's a
Yeah.
platformer. Yeah,
Ratchet
that
and
game should.
Clank, I mean,
Nope.
no.
Like action platformer as
Monster Hunter
well.
Rise, though,
That's an RPG.
that's
That's
an
an RPG
RPG.
for sure.
So, um, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. It would be tough for Tails to get, but top 10 is still, it's still fantastic for any.
Top 10 is great, and this assuming this holds, and I think most of the reviews are in at this point. Like IGN hasn't reviewed it, which we complained about with Scarlet Nexus, but they did review it eventually. I think it was like day it came out, or maybe a few days after. I remember. So I
Mm-hmm.
think IGN will review it eventually. I don't think we've gotten the Game Informer review yet either, but I assume we'll get that whenever the next Game Informer issue comes out or
Sure.
something like that. So those are the two like mainstream media that I can think of that have not reviewed it yet. Um, but this game is very well liked by the mainstream media, which again is really cool to see. This is the highest rated tail. Most of the Tails games, their metascores are in either the low 80s or in the 70s. There's a lot of like 75,
Mm-hmm.
76, 77. There's a couple in like I think like Vesperia DE had like an 80 or an 81. Um, And Symphonia, I think, was like an 86, and this actually tops Symphonia, which is crazy because Symphonia was the game that broke the series into the West, at least on the GameCube back
Mm-hmm.
in 2003 or 2004. So
Sure.
I'm super excited to play this game now. And I was already really excited to play the game, but I honestly, unless all these outlets are blowing smoke out their ass, I think this is likely going to be my game of the year. Like I know I'm putting too high expectations on it too much, but
Oh
um,
God.
this is you know I'm I think I'm gonna really like this game.
So yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't played it, but the game looks like it's shaping up to be really, really good. Um, yeah, well, there hasn't been a lot of stuff this year that we've played that's been new. Like, I mean, other than like I really like Scarlet Nexus, but beyond that, we absolutely like kind of fell in love with. I would say, a lot of like, okay, pretty good, good game. Okay, this is fun, but nothing where like you sit back and go, wow, that was an amazing, that was really amazing. So, which is odd. Usually, in a year, there's probably more games like that. And for other people, like for people that played like Psychonauts 2, for example, I mean, people really like Psychonauts 2. So that's a game that like that seems like a game I would really enjoy playing. But like other things like It Takes Two, people just like almost universally love. Um, so, but for us, we haven't really played a lot that we've just been like, okay, this is definitively the best. Um, so it's good to see that Tales is getting good reviews and generally people like it. I mean, you're gonna get outlier reviews. That just happens all the time. Even like I'm sure even some of the best games ever got outlier reviews.
I mean, yeah, but when your two outliers are like 1.6 and 1.7 is like, dang.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much universally well liked. And again, the 6, the person just hated the story and the characters, which again, that's your opinion, that's fair. Most people seem to disagree with that, but they hated it. It's fine. And the 7 from GameSpot was like, I think they said the pacing was uneven on the story in some places, and it wasn't necessarily complaining about the beginning being slow, which is what I'd expect. It's a freaking JRPG. The begining's going to be slow.
yeah.
Um,
It's a JRPG. The dialogue is gonna be cheesy. Like,
yeah,
it's,
the dialogue is going to be cheesy in places. It's going to be very anime in
yeah.
places.
Which
That's
it's
going
like
to happen.
it's good and bad. It's like
The
okay,
GameSpot, the other two, the game things, the GameSpot review complained about was yeah, in the combat, they said it got too hectic sometimes, and they just like couldn't tell what was going on, and they just died from like off screen, or like they just didn't know what was going on, and they just died randomly, or like I'm frustrated because I died and I didn't see what was coming, which is fair. I mean, and I don't know if they're just bad at the game, or maybe I have seen some videos and stuff of the game where the screen does get very very busy, so I can see that being a
sure,
reasonable complaint, to be honest. But then they went on to complain about the DLC items and like, oh, the game is like, did they make the game too hard because they want me to buy DLC? And like, okay, no, they actually didn't. But that did not seem like a reasonable complaint to me. Like their third big complaint was like they didn't like all the DLC, the non-costume DLC that you could buy with like the item packs and the XP packs and all the shop discount. Like
mm,
they have a lot of like quote unquote pay to win DLC basically that's like, yeah, you can buy this stuff to get like make your characters stronger, but and I mean, I guess I'll be fair because I've complained about this kind of thing with like the XP boosts in Assassin's Creed.
mm-hmm.
I don't like it being there. It's actually been in Tales for a long time. Like the original Vesperia on the 360 had that crap, but you've never had to buy it to like
Sure,
make the game more manageable or beat the game. So
sure,
again, on that one, I didn't see as much of a reasonable complaint because I didn't really see anyone else complain about like the difficulty or that like, oh, I felt like I needed to buy the DLC to beat the game or the game was too
sure,
hard because there was DLC in it. So
sure.
that one, I again maybe for them, they didn't quite grasp the combat well enough, or I'm not sure, but I wasn't really buying it to be honest. But I could see like the annoyance. It's like, okay, why? Like, come on, this doesn't need to be here, which I agree with. I wish it wasn't there either, but it's all. I mean, as I said, Tails has been doing this for like 10 to 15 years of having that kind of stuff in the game, and but you've never needed to buy it to do well in the game.
No, no, no. And I mean, like, just it's good that this game is also getting good reviews because they're supposed to get a new audience. So
Hmm.
that means that good reviews means the audiences they're trying to get might
Yeah,
be interested. Which again, I want to circle this back though to what I've been saying before about this game. They should have marketed this thing at E3. Should have marketed this thing at more events. Why did they not? I just feel like it was a huge missed opportunity to not do that.
yeah, but I think they've done enough. I mean, this game is on. I mean, again, I don't know what this means. Maybe it's like a slow period, but this game was actually top of Steam's charts. Like,
which
if you
is
look in the last couple of days, it was the
yes,
top
yeah,
selling game on Steam, like yesterday, basically. So
true. Which
that's a
you
good sign. That's a good sign, at
yeah,
least.
I mean, like, regardless of if it's slow or not, it's still good that for recent, that recently it's been trending, which is good. That's a good sign. But yeah, but still, um, yeah, Pathfinder is really the only other release that was there. Interesting to see.
Well, Life is Strange comes out tomorrow, and it was beating that out.
Yeah, Life is Strange. I imagine will beat this out early on. Um, no offense to Tales, but I think the Life is Strange uh, brand ended up getting a bit more mainstream. So I'm not surprised by that.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying like
Yeah.
Tails was, at least when I looked at the chart, Tails was higher than Life
Oh,
is
it
Strange. Like
was.
Tails was selling better
Oh,
than
I
Life is
thought. Well,
Strange.
that now
Like
that
Life
is
is Strange was
surprising.
still like in the top five,
Oh,
but
that is
like,
surprising. Then that is surprising
yeah.
because I thought Life is Strange would be like a bigger release for the general public. So that's surprising to me. So that, but that again, ultimately, it's a good.
Yeah, right now if I go to top selling on Steam, Tales of Arise is at the top. Life is Strange 2 Colors is second. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, NBA.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition is still up there. What?
It wasn't yet. It wasn't yesterday. Oh, it's on sale. It's on sale. It's on
Oh, I
sale.
was supposed to. I was
So,
like, what the fuck?
like,
Why? Why is Mass Effect up there? I was like, what the fuck? But it says okay. If it's on sale, that makes sense. I was just about to say like, why? Um, so I think it's obviously this is all good. Hopefully, then we'll get it'll get more sales. I mean, I think with the positive reviews, if it starts to trend on Steam, you can break through their sales records of previous games, and that just means that they can actually continue to make improvements to the game and not have to rely on like possibly the same engines for a long time, like they did with Tales of Xillia and Tales of uh, oh god,
yeah.
Zisteria and then
Yeah.
Berseria. They all kind of relied on the same thing
Eh,
because they all looked the same.
Same
Um,
in-house antiquated engine that they used from
so
like the
hope
PS3 era.
yeah, hopefully they'll actually be able to translate this success into just continuing to make improvements from game to game as opposed to like sitting on the same thing for a long time,
I mean,
which can be
you
problematic.
can bet the next game is probably if this game, with the reviews it's getting, assuming it sells well, which again I think it will. Looking at the at least the early indications that next game is, I'm sure they always make some changes, but I think it'll be pretty similar to Arise probably. Like,
Or just a Tales of Arise 2, or if it's actually relevant to do so. I mean, like, why not?
yeah, we'll see. A lot of times their stories tend to be pretty conclusive in Tales games, so sequels are always kind of shaky. But yeah.
So okay, so yeah, that'll be we'll get to see that tonight. I'll play it on the on my little Xbox here, and we'll see how it goes for the beginning part, and I'll get to show off all the cosmetics from my Super Blowjob edition.
Mhm.
So that'll be I'm excited for that. I'm glad that this game is reviewing well. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
It'll have to be, man. I don't know how good this game will have to be to make me feel different about Scarlet Nexus, but God, this could do it. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, it's
Xbox a
possible
lot of
that
things.
you
Little is not one of them. Yes, it is. This one is small.
yeah.
This is a small system. The Series S is really small. It is it is really small by comparison to like the PS5, for example, and the
The
PS4.
PS5 PS5 is a tank.
The
Yeah,
PS5 is a
the old
tank, and the
yeah,
Series S is tiny.
the older versions of the Xbox were definitely not small, but yeah, the Series S seems like
The Series
quite a bit
S is
smaller.
like it looks like an ETB. ETB being like an Elite Trainer box size. It's tiny. So yeah. Any other Tales of Arise thoughts that you feel like you didn't